News Radio KMAN weather.
Gearing up for a warm weekend starting tomorrow as we head into the end of the week. Partly sunny in a high near 92, wind gusting as high as 20 miles per hour out of the south. Mostly clear with the low around 70 on Friday night. Saturday sunny with a high near 92, mostly cloudy and a low of 71 that evening. On Sunday, a slight chance of showers at 30%, a high near 84, 40% chance that night. Right now, 87 degrees in Manhattan. The game is next on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Well, today we come to you on the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, where nearly 3,000 people lost their lives at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and in Pennsylvania. I was 11 years old in 5th grade, watched it live on TV, went to Morganville Elementary after the second plane crashed into the Twin Towers, was telling everybody about it, didn't even know what the World Trade Center was. Nobody had a clue because Morganville Elementary did not have TVs. We did not have internet. Of course, no cell phones. Then the next day was a day of grieving at Morganville Elementary. And, of course, we never forget that day 24 years ago today. And, of course, Cole was not alive yet.
No.
But I'm sure you've heard many things about it. Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner alongside Cole Dutchendorf here with you until 5:30. Royals and Guardians will finish up their series tonight. Pregame coming up at 5:30, but they got it done last night, the Kansas City.
They really kept their season afloat thanks to kind of an odd sequence in the 7th inning. Got a couple of hits, used a couple of errors from the Guardians, and if they can pull this one out, their season's not dead, but it's if they lose this one, certainly on life support. And really that's kind of the case either way. It's going to be down to the wire for sure.
The game is presented by Bottle Cap Sports Bar, and in 24 hours, you'll not be hearing the game. You'll be hearing Power Cat Game Day because the Cats play Friday. They play tomorrow as they visit the Arizona Wildcats that are off to a 2-0 start. Blowout wins over Arizona and Weber State, but K-State 1-2. It is an absolute, no doubt about it, must-win game for K-State to wrap up non-conference play before they get the bye week. And then they get back into conference play with UCF coming to town in 2 weeks. We're short in hour number 2, but we'll be joined by Curry Sexton at 5:10. Wrap it up with Ask Us Anything. I'm mixing up the first hour. We need to somehow change the juju of the season. Try to change up the vibe a little bit. Shake things up. Try something different. We're going to do the fan favorites, including coming up at about 4:25-ish. We're going to get a preview of the Arizona Wildcats. We had him on last year. He's a great friend of the show. Michael Lev from the Arizona Daily Star is going to come on for a few moments and chat to us about Arizona, Trey Spivey, Noah Fafita, the defense that hasn't allowed a touchdown yet in 2 games this season. Keys for K-State against Arizona later on in this hour as well. But to lead things off, let's go to Vegas. Typically, the big talk shows, College Game Day, they save this for last. Big noon kickoff. This is last. We're going to open up with Mitch in Vegas.
Might as well try to switch something up.
We're gonna stroll in with just some generic college football pick'em talk. But that does include K-State, and I'll be honest with you right now, I'm hanging on to the optimism I have left.
Yeah.
And I'm the most optimistic K-State fan you'll find around. I don't freak out like I used to. I've changed. I've matured. But it is running thin. Probably preseason expectations, the talent, individual talent of this team has played a factor. It's shocking to see K-State struggle. No running game between the tackles. The wide receivers are like the best unit on the team, almost, well, offensively. VJ Payne has been a liability for K-State secondary. It doesn't make sense. So let's try to change things up. We're opening up with Mitch in Vegas in game one, as we do things here, is K-State in Arizona. The line's been going back and forth. But as we stand, as I said, you know, I don't give you the final score prediction until PowerCat Game Day. That'll be Friday. That'll be tomorrow at about 5:55. I'll finally give you my score prediction. I've been back and forth just like the line has been for Vegas, but as we sit here, K-State is a 1.5-point favorite at Arizona Stadium, the first time K-State will play in that stadium since the 93 Copper Bowl.
You know, there's a lot that goes into this one. I think K-State is the better team in terms of the talent that they have on their roster. I think there's no doubt about it that Arizona has infinitely more confidence coming into this game than K-State does. I mean, K-State's confidence, it did appear a little bit shot, especially Saturday night talking to players after the game. That's a down locker room, and Coach Kleiman even said as much. They were crushed. I don't know how much stock you put from the Army game into this one because it's going to be a completely different game. K-State offense is going to have more than 6 possessions. K-State's defense isn't going to face 70 runs. This is a head versus heart kind of decision for me to make because head probably says that Arizona will be able to get the job done because of the way that these locker rooms are right now, but also short week for both of these teams, yes, but short week for K-State coming off an Army game is a little bit different than, I don't even remember who Arizona's last game was against, but it wasn't some powerhouse. Not that Army is.
Weber State.
So it just, bodies broken down for K-State. A lot of injuries too, whether it's severe ones or just nicks and bruises and that sort of thing. But I have to believe in my heart of hearts that at some point in this season, K-State gets it figured out. And, you know, a loss here wouldn't be the end of the world because of the fact that it's still a non-conference game. But, man, I mean, where would spirits be if K-State heads to Arizona and they can't get the job done tomorrow? So I'm going to take heart over head. I'm going to say K-State goes to Tucson and takes down the Wildcats of Arizona, despite how bad that they have looked over the last 2 games.
All right, look, again, I have been back and forth. This is just my gut, the way I feel right now at this point. I will go Arizona. I've never seen a 1-3 start in my lifetime. It's never happened. I was born in 1990. I'm 35 years old. It's never happened. I have been blessed to see a lot of great K-State football. The percentage of good K-State football I've seen compared to others in their full lifetimes, way higher than anybody else. Could have been born at a better time for good football at K-State.
It's true.
So for me, this is rare to see this kind of struggle so early against the weakest spot of your schedule. And Arizona may still be in that weak category. I'm sure Arizona fans are kind of like, all right, won a couple of games. Well, that kind of happened last year, and the defense wasn't very good last year. Seems to be better now. And offensively, you know, no Tedero, McMillan, no Fafita was better in the second game. Are we really good? I don't know. K-State's 1-2. We should beat them, but probably still for the Arizona fans, still a lot to prove. So, I mean, it's a big game for both teams, really. But right now, I lean Arizona. And I'm very interested to hear what Michael Lev has to say in our next segment because obviously he's going to know a ton about Arizona. And he's going to probably speak his mind and give his gut feeling about how he truly feels about the way Arizona's playing right now against a couple of cupcakes. So I'm going to his interview is going to affect my keys to the game, I think. But I need to get his vibe first. But right now, my gut, from what I know, is I got to lean Arizona because K-State, I think, certainly has more problems than Arizona.
And by the way, final score prediction for me, I just kind of thought about this random. I'm just going to throw a couple of random numbers out there. Give me like 31-28 or 31-27.
By the way, if you want to vote on Mitch in Vegas, we bet on the Vegas line at Mitch the Fort on Twitter or at the Game KMAN on Twitter. The people, it's a close vote. It's 51-49. Arizona with the slight edge, so it's just like everybody else, like Vegas. All right, Game 2 is also Friday night, 6:30 is the kickoff. Houston is hosting Colorado. Houston is a 2-0 team right now. Shout out to the Cougs right now. With a great start to the year. But according to ESPN's Pete Thamel, the Buffaloes are going to go third-string quarterback Ryan Staub to start this game over five-star freshman Julian Lewis and senior Caden Salter, the transfer from Liberty. The people, Cole, will go with Houston.
I just love the Ryan Staub storyline. I think Colorado has played a better team than Houston has in Georgia Tech at home, albeit in a loss. I still think they looked solid in that game. They showed some resolve. I just love the energy radiating off of Coach Prime and Staub at the end of the game against Delaware, the post-game conference on field. I want to go with the storyline. I'll take Colorado to cover. I think the Cougs probably still pull it out, but I think it's like a field goal win for Houston.
I'm going to take Houston. I think you're going with the third string quarterback. Coach Prime said he prayed on it. I'm sure he prayed on to save his toes too.
That's insane.
I'm going to go with Houston. It's just the gut again, you know. Backyard Brawl is game number 3. Pitt at West Virginia. These guys have played 107 times. It's the 14th oldest rivalry in college football. Game 108, Saturday afternoon. Pitt visiting Milan Puskar Stadium. Pitt will come in undefeated. West Virginia 1-1 as a 7.5-point favorite. Well, the people are going to go with Pitt.
This one, it's tough to ignore just how bad the West Virginia offense looked last week against Ohio. Only 250 total yards. Only 72 rushing yards on the game for the Mountaineers. They were also a combined 3 for 14 on third and fourth down against the Bobcats of Ohio, I believe.
Yes.
It doesn't exactly inspire a bunch of confidence into me going into this Pitt game. I will say some of that you can kind of throw out. It's a rivalry game. Things are going to happen, and that's kind of what we've seen the last couple of years in this rivalry game. West Virginia's been decent at home the last couple of matchups against Pitt. But they just look so bad against Ohio. Maybe that's because Ohio's actually a decent team, which I think that's probably true. I mean, they played Rutgers pretty close as well. But I just don't think West Virginia is good at all, and I think Pitt will come into West Virginia and get the job done and do more than enough to cover.
And I agree. This is going to be Pitt across the board because West Virginia right now is a mess offensively. Nico Marchiol was benched for a little bit during the Ohio game. That was a 17-10 final, but also, I mean, we learned Monday from Rich Rodriguez, the head coach who's back at West Virginia, their best running back, Jaheim White, their best wide receiver, Jaden Bray, out for the season with injuries. They both are going to be going through season-ending surgery, and that was earlier this week. So they're out. So West Virginia's beat up, and they're beat up for the rest of the year. I don't know exactly how good Pitt is. I know they have Des Reed. I really like him as a running back. Pretty electric guy. Where I believe leads the nation in yards per carry. I have to go look that up just to double check. But I'm going to go Pitt. All right, so this next game is the game I cannot wait to watch. And it's on the CW. Shout out to the CW.
Yeah.
Has the game of the week, in my opinion. Number 18, South Florida at number 5, Miami. Cole, Hurricanes favored by 17.5. The people going Bulls. Go Bulls.
Basically, the question is, can South Florida's defense bring any kind of performance as they brought the last couple of weeks? I mean, they completely shut down Boise State. They were a great bend but don't break defense. I believe they held them to 2 of 6 on fourth down conversions in that game. And then they go into the swamp and shut down a Florida team that was also ranked in the top 25, hold them to just 16 points, and maybe most importantly, the poise and composure for them to drive down the field, execute the game-winning field goal as time expires. This is a rowdy Bulls team, and I want them to do more than cover. I want this Bulls team to head to Miami and win. I do think that's a lot of points, it feels like, for, again, a Bulls defense that's had 2 great weeks against 2 great teams. And, I mean, Boise State kind of...
We'll see how good they are.
Right,
yeah.
But SEC team, anytime you can go to an SEC squad and shut them down as a non-Power 4 team, that's got to give you a ton of confidence. I don't know if anyone in the nation is playing with more confidence than the Bulls are right now. So I think that's a too big of a spread for me to take Miami. I really want South Florida to win and become a top 10 team, so give me the Bulls to cover.
South Florida, they're swagger. They play with swagger. They remind me of the Hurricane teams in the late 80s and, the early 2000s. Those really fun Miami teams to watch. These guys remind me of those Hurricane teams, but we're talking about South Florida. In games against 2 ranked opponents, they've allowed just 2 total touchdowns in those games. I'm a big fan of Byron Brown. 2 years ago, he had phenomenal numbers that could only rival one other player in college football. That was Jaden Daniels, who won the Heisman Trophy. Last year, he got banged up, so he didn't play a full season. Now he's back and playing a high-caliber level of football. So I don't know if they're going to win. I don't think they're going to win. I hope they do, but I'm going to go South Florida to cover 17.5. Again, that's a lot of points. Ohio at Ohio State. Wanted to throw a big line in there. Ohio State at home is favored by 31.5. They're the number 1 team in the nation.
I'm going to keep banging that defensive drum. I don't know if there's a defense in the country that looks better than Ohio State through the first couple of weeks. Throw out week 2. Really, you're just looking at week 1 when they hold the Texas offense to just 7 points. They dominate that game for all 4 quarters. I have a tough time imagining a scenario where Ohio comes into Ohio State to the Horseshoe and puts up an offensive performance that'll do enough to keep up with Ohio State in any sort of fashion. So I'll take, even though 31.5 is a lot of points, I will take Ohio State just because that defense is so good.
Lines like this feel like typically a coin flip, but I'm going to take Ohio State. The people are going to lock in with the Buckeyes. In the final game, I picked this because it's a top 25 matchup. Honestly, I don't think I really care much about this game. Number 16, Texas A&M at number 8, Notre Dame. I mean, I'm rooting for Colin Klein, of course, who will hopefully be at some point the head coach here at K-State. Notre Dame, 6.5-point favorite their first game since losing to Miami.
Aggies haven't looked good in their first 2 games against not great opponents. UTSA and Utah State, it's like a combined, I think they won by basically 20 points in both of those games, but gave up a lot of points in both of those games. So the defense worries me quite a bit. I think Coach Freeman for Notre Dame is going to have the fellas fired up in the locker room after that Miami game. I'll take Notre Dame by 2 touchdowns in this one.
Texas A&M gave up over 200 yards to UTSA. The Irish have Jeremiah Love. That's it. I'm going Notre Dame. And so are the people. We take our first time out on the game, and when we come back, we take a look at the Arizona Wildcats with Michael Lev from Arizona. Let me get this right. The Arizona Daily Sport. That's coming up next on the game.
This poor man is crying. Why? He missed the game. You can always check out the game podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and at newsradiokman.com.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air will provide honest and quality service when you need it most. From a leaky faucet to replacing your water heater. Trust the experts at D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Your York and other makes and models local dealer. Call 537-7138 today.
Turn your memories into a masterpiece at Candlewood Frame Shop. Whether it's framing your favorite pictures floating around in the digital cloud or creating a shadow box with cherished things or memorable events. Candlewood Frame Shop. Let them turn your stories into a masterpiece.
For a once-in-a-lifetime experience, engagement ring shopping simply can't be duplicated on a computer screen. At Fifely Jewelers, you'll be pleasantly surprised by our pricing compared to buying online, and we offer financing. Plus, you'll have peace of mind by shopping locally with Fifely Jewelers.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills. with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. After a viral incident in which Lamar Jackson pushed a fan who reached out and touched both DeAndre Hopkins and the quarterback, the Ravens star issued an apology. It's the right move, calm the storm, take the high road, but let's be clear. Jackson isn't the one who should be apologizing. The fans are. You pay for a ticket to watch the game. That doesn't give you the right to hurl vulgar comments or worse, put your hands on players. There's no place for that in any league. These athletes are professionals doing their jobs, and they deserve a baseline of respect while doing it. Social media has emboldened this behavior, giving people a platform to say whatever they want without consequences. So yes, Lamar Jackson apologized, but he shouldn't have to. The ones crossing the line should be the ones saying, we're sorry, enough's enough. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She can get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
The Ramsey Show.
The problem is the stupid banks will loan you so much money that they put you in bankruptcy because they don't have an off button. They'll just loan you money. You know, you can go get a credit card, you can go on a trip you can't afford, you can go down here and get a car. You know, there's actually people out there walking around that still think that if the bank will loan it to you, it means you can pay it. The same people that think if you have checks left in your checkbook, there must be money in the account. Same people.
Life and money advice. The Ramsey Show. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN.
I'm Cole Dutchendorf with the Game Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. As K-State prepares to match up with Arizona tomorrow night, there are a couple of familiar faces on the opposite sidelines. Former K-State wideout Trey Spivey landed with Arizona after a 14-catch season in Manhattan last year, while the Cats landed defensive back Gunnar Maldonado.
We asked Gunnar just about the stadium and the crowd and stuff because Gunnar's used to it, and I know Trey's there, and that's college football now. I'm happy for Trey Spivey. He found a home that and he's playing, and that's what it's about, is finding a place that you fit and play, and happy for Trey, that we were able to get Gunnar here.
Spivey has just 2 catches through the first 2 games working with quarterback Noah Fafita. Maldonado has 4 tackles and limited action coming back from an injury. That'll be Friday at 8 p.m. for kickoff with PowerCat Game Day at 4 p.m. on News Radio KMAN and 101.5 K-Rock. Nick Lofton singled in the tying run and scored on Michael Garcia's double in the 7th inning, sending the Kansas City Royals to a 4-3 victory over the Cleveland Guardians on Wednesday night. Kansas City snapped a 3-game losing streak to remain 4 back of Seattle, which holds the 3rd and final American League wildcard position. The Guardians are 3.5 behind the Mariners. They'll be in action with pregame at 5:30.
Did you have me on camera?
I didn't.
Okay. It wouldn't have made any sense to the YouTube viewers. By the way, shout out to those watching on YouTube. Really appreciate that. News Radio KMAN is the name of the channel. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button.
Hit the like button, too. So
and
one
the
day
like
I
button.
can go abroad.
There's a lot of buttons you can push.
Mm-hmm. There are.
Pushing buttons are fun.
Can confirm.
Cole and myself, we both have a bunch of buttons we
Yes.
can push. Yours does a lot more different sounds than mine.
It does.
You got a lot of cool buttons over there. All right, let's talk Arizona football. The Wildcats are 2-0. They're coming off wins over Hawaii. Final score 40-6, and Weber State 48-3. That final score. We now preview the Arizona Wildcats. Michael Lev from the Arizona Daily Star, who's been covering the Wildcats for a number of years. Michael, first of all, really appreciate your time coming on during your busy schedule. Arizona, like I mentioned, coming off the 2 wins to start the year. K-State, not so great. 1-2. Optimism is pretty low around here. I know Arizona had a rough year last year. How are Arizona fans feeling right now? What's the vibe in Tucson, Arizona?
I would describe it as cautious optimism. Yes, the start has been better than last year, even though the record is the same and the caliber of opponents is similar, right? You have a Mountain West, an FCS. They're both, notches in the W column, but Arizona's played a lot better. They've looked a lot better. There were a ton of questions coming out of those first 2 games last year. In the opener in 2024, the defense was pretty bad. In the second game in 24, the offense took a step backward. In these first 2 games, and granted the competition hasn't been very good, Arizona has been very buttoned up. I think that there's a sense here that, hey, you know what? Maybe Arizona has a chance to win this game this time around. When you factor in how good they've looked, and then also, as you mentioned at the top, how much Kansas State has struggled coming into this game on Friday.
Is this Arizona's team, is it a lot different from last year?
Well, yeah. I mean, they have, I think it's more than 50 new players. When Brent Brennan first came in, he got the job in mid-January, if you'll recall. And it was kind of part of that domino effect of Nick Saban retiring. Kalen DeBoer takes the Alabama job. Jed Fish takes the Washington job. The Arizona job comes open. They have to, find somebody and kind of scramble, well after the transfer portal has closed. So, he kind of comes in midstream and he's desperately trying to keep the team together. And, it's sort of a mishmash of Jed Fish's players and players that they were able to find, off the scrap heap, whatever was left in the portal. That didn't have a full recruiting class either. So this is really kind of the year where it's Brent Brennan's team, and his front office staff was really aggressive in December in going out and trying to find players that fit Arizona's needs. So they are a lot different. Like, they have a rebuilt offensive line, they have a rebuilt running back core, rebuilt receiving core. I'd say the positions where there's been a little bit more carryover, probably in the secondary, quarterback, even the defensive front too. There's a lot of new faces, and a lot of those guys have looked promising so far. And so on the field, it has looked good, and there's also a much better vibe around the program in terms of buy-in, togetherness, just kind of everyone rowing in the same direction.
And some new coordinators, and I want to start with the offensive side. Arizona brings in Seth Dagey, which is I'm sure is a name K-State fans really remember from the early 2010s. I mean, gosh, I remember a road trip to Lubbock one time, and he threw for over 450 yards. That kid could throw the football. K-State did win that game, but he takes over as calling the plays, and you have a returning quarterback like a lot of other teams do in the Big 12. Noah Fafita is a very talented player. I'm just wondering, now mixed in with Seth Dagey, expectations for Noah, and how has he looked so far?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the coordinator situation, because I definitely should have mentioned that that's a big change too. All three coordinators are new, and I'm sure we'll get to all of them here as we go along. But the Seth Dagey Noah Fifita partnership has been very promising so far. The two seem to very much be in lockstep. Noah had a great year in 2023, as we all remember. He was the Pac-12 offensive freshman of the year. Became the starter about a quarter of the way through the season, led the team on a huge winning streak, victory in the Alamo Bowl, 10-win seasons, a lot of things that don't happen often around here. And then last year, he took a step backward. The offensive system was not a good fit for him. He became a little bit too locked in on his number one receiver, Tetero McMillan, after some other really good players left for the NFL. Jacob Cowing, Tanner McLaughlin, they were both NFL draft picks and very, very good college players. Noah held the ball too long, led the nation in throwaways, which is a really weird stat. Just shows that some of these plays just were not working. And then this year, in the first game, wasn't that great. It was a little bit off target on some throws. I thought he was just playing a little too fast, needed to relax a little bit. And then against Weber State, which again, not a great opponent, he was on the money the entire game. 5 touchdown passes, completed 17 of 22 throws, hit 4 of 5 passes with 20 plus air yards. Looked way more comfortable in the system. Now, is that going to carry over into the Kansas State game where, I expect, the defensive personnel is unquestionably better. They'll generate a better pass rush, I'm certain. Even against Weber State, the pressure rate when Noah was in there was over 40%, according to Pro Football Focus, which is not what you want to see. So I will be very interested to see how he handles this situation, especially if, the pressure is getting there. Is he going to hang in the pocket? Is he going to flee? Is he going to make the right decisions in those high leverage situations?
I would certainly like to know, with one more question about the offense, a little bit about Jabin Watley, who has been, it looks like he's been a really nice spark in the first couple of games. But for those that maybe don't remember, there was a bit of a transfer portal trade between K-State and Arizona receives a wide receiver that I really wanted to see on the field more for K-State in Trey Spivey. What is Trey's role right now?
Yeah, we have phrased it that way as well. It's like a trade, right? Kansas State got Gunnar Maldonado and Arizona got Trey Spivey. Trey is, as K-State fans know, a big receiver, right? He's 6'4", he's 212, and he was a little, I would say, one-dimensional in spring. And then he really grew over the summer and had a big training camp where he showed a lot more facets to his game. He became a much more well-rounded wide receiver. So I think he's just kind of at the tip of the iceberg in terms of his potential. I think the arrow is pointing up for him. And I expect him to continue to have a big role. I know he has only 2 catches through 2 games, but they were both noteworthy. The one against Hawaii was the first pass of the game, and Noah threw a kind of a jump ball over 3 Hawaii defenders. Trey went up and got the ball. And then against Weber State, his only catch was a touchdown. Wouldn't surprise me if they fed him a little bit more this week. He's part of a group of, I would say, about 5 receivers who are part of a pretty robust rotation.
All right, now over to the defense. And yes, bring up another coordinator. Danny Gonzalez, the former head coach at New Mexico, gets the promotion, as Chris Kleiman has done with his position coaches. He's given them promotions as well within the program. And I tell you what, even though, yes, you mentioned it, a group of 5 in an FCS, this defense hasn't allowed a touchdown so far. And what I think K-State would be really jealous of, because they don't have any interceptions yet, this defense right now has 5 interceptions. What to you has stood out about this defense so far?
Yeah, like that stat about no touchdowns is impressive against anybody, right? Like, I don't care what the competition is. When you get through 2 games without allowing a single touchdown, that's a big deal. They've yielded 9 points. They have a bunch of takeaways. And I think the main couple things that Danny has brought to the table, one is just how physical they are on defense. Even the defensive backs, the smallest guys on that side of the ball are really hitting people hard, and they are letting receivers, letting it be known to wide receivers that if you catch the ball, you're going to feel it, and that kind of has a cumulative effect, I think, over the course of a game. We've really seen that the first 2 games, so that's number one. Number two, they're really doing a good job of just getting bodies to the ball. If you look at the picture on the screen, anytime there's an opposing ball carrier, there's a lot of blue shirts or red shirts or whatever color they happen to be wearing. And then the third thing that Danny's brought is confusion to the opposite side. He tries to present a picture pre-snap that is different from what the quarterback and offensive line are actually getting post-snap. So you'll see a lot of bodies up near the line of scrimmage, 5, 6, 7 guys. Oftentimes, like even defensive tackles will be in a 2-point stance instead of a 3-point stance, and you just don't know who's rushing and who's dropping. So those are the biggest factors, I think, for the defense so far under Danny Gonzalez. And of course, even though K-State is coming in at 1-2, and everyone's upset over there with how the offense has looked and whether Avery Johnson's running enough or not, I think we're going to see a lot of Avery Johnson with his legs this week, and I think it will be by far the biggest challenge that Arizona has faced so far this season.
Yeah, Michael, if there's one thing I think K-State fans, the most response I've heard about what they want to see more is Avery run the football, but to me it's not that easy because the offensive line needs to get much better in run blocking. I do have a few more questions for you. You mentioned Noah Fafita and what you'd like to see out of him, like as what could be big questions about. All right, if Arizona is able to do this, they can win the game. Is there anything else that you haven't mentioned that you feel like is a pretty big storyline, or maybe just a question that still needs to be answered to prove that Arizona is more legit than last season?
Yeah, I mean, besides being able to corral a mobile quarterback in Avery Johnson, which they absolutely did not do at all last year when Avery rushed for a career-high 110 yards on a career-high 17 carries, to me, the biggest issue in this game is Arizona's offensive line versus Kansas State's defensive front. The line's been shaky, to be sure, in the first 2 games, even though the offense has moved the ball. I would say that you could argue in some ways that they've been able to move the ball in spite of the line in some ways. The pass blocking has been a little shaky in both contests. As mentioned, the pressure rate has been too high. Last week, they didn't run the ball that great against, Weber State team where that was the expectation going into it, that they'd be able to do that. Their running back room is a little bit banged up. I'm not that worried about that aspect because they're very deep at running back, but they're still trying to figure some things out up front. One of their best offensive tackles, Rhino Tapatotai, who was the starting left tackle last year, suffered a midseason torn ACL, missed the rest of last year, missed the opener this year, came back for a couple series in week 2, looked very rusty. And he's alternating with Tristan Bounds at that right tackle spot, and that's been a troublesome area for them. They're also breaking in a new left guard in Michael Wooten, who had been a tackle before. Their center, Kaina DeCambra, transfer from Hawaii, has been really good. He'd never played center before this season. So there's still like a lot of moving parts. I feel like the offensive line is a work in progress. And if Kansas State is going to win this game, I think, their ability to win that battle in the trenches will be a significant factor.
That has been a strong point for K-State so far, even though thin on the defensive line, their pass rush, 7 sacks in the first couple of games. Didn't have any against Army, but that's not really a team you really rack up a lot of sacks against. Michael Lev is our guest from the Arizona Daily Star covering the Arizona Wildcats. So last thought here, I'll share a fact with you here. So it's been since the 70s since K-State has traveled to play the Arizona Wildcats. But the last time they played at Arizona Stadium was the 1993 Copper Bowl against Wyoming, K-State's first ever bowl victory. So it's just been a long time in general since K-State's played in Tucson, Arizona. unfamiliar stadium, I would say, for most, especially playing against the home team. How would you describe what a home game is like for Arizona, and especially on a night that I really like the promotion, Retro Night?
Yeah, Arizona's wearing some throwback helmets for this one. It's kind of the old school A. It's more of like a red A that they wore in the 80s, and they also have the little cat paw stickers going on those helmets, so pretty cool. I think it depends on the opponent and the situation and how Arizona's playing as far as the environment you're going to get. Like it was a really good atmosphere, I would say, for the opener against Hawaii because it was the season opener, and there's always that excitement for that kind of game. Last week, not very good, and the fact that there was a 2-hour weather delay didn't help. There were not a lot of people left in the stadium at the end of that game, which concluded after midnight local time. But I think it can be good, and I'm hopeful that it will be a good atmosphere for this game. I think people really like a 6 o'clock start time here. So that's a factor that's working in favor of a good crowd and a good atmosphere. The fact that it's a Friday game, that makes it a little more challenging because, people are working on a Friday or, they have high school games to go to. There's a very robust high school football scene around here, and most of those games are taking place on Friday. So I'm a little curious to see what the atmosphere is going to be like. It's a bit of a fair weather fan base as far as football goes. But I think the fact that it's 2-0, the fact that it's a high-profile opponent in Kansas State, and the fact that it's an earlier kickoff, that we'll see, over 40,000, and they'll be pretty locked in.
Michael, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for the preview of the Arizona Wildcats, and hope to talk to you down the road soon. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Big thanks to Michael Lev for joining us here on the game. Another factor, we need to bring up about this game is the weather. Shout out to Derek Young from KSO because down there today, right now, it's 99. But he was in an Uber, and the Uber driver says, yeah, it's a cool day in Tucson, Arizona. 99 is a cool day. It's because they got that dry heat, that desert dry heat. Humidity 23%. A little jealous of that. All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, all right, I got some keys. K-State against Arizona. What is it going to take for the Cats to get it done on the road? Can they get it done? Well, I'll give you a couple of things to think about as we head into the game tomorrow. PowerCat Game Day starts at 4, and the game in Tucson kicks off 8 p.m. here on News Radio KMAN. Of course, you can listen to PowerCat Game Day at PowerCatGameDay.com. That's coming up next, the game.
Your home for K-State sports.
Waters to throw. There's the fade, and it is caught one-hand by Curry Sexton. Oh, my, what a play that was.
This is the game on News Radio KMAN.
My name's Billy Segrist, and I had the pleasure of using interim hospice care for both my mom and my husband. Fred was about 6 months and maybe 4 months for my mom that needed care. When they started my husband, they thought he'd probably be a 1 or 2 year patient. And as it turned out, it went a lot faster than we had expected. But just knowing that I had them on board and I could call interim anytime and ask questions or have someone come out anytime I needed them made it really nice. I would strongly encourage, if you're thinking you're going to need some assistance, to call Interim Healthcare. They can deal with both home health as well as the hospice, and they're a great support group for you.
Interim Healthcare and Hospice. We improve people's lives.
We care, we're there. Interim Healthcare.
Attention job seekers. Flint Hills Autobus just raised starting wages for bus drivers to $17 per hour for non-CDL drivers and $18.50 per hour for CDL drivers with AP endorsement. If you're ready for a career with great pay, benefits, and the chance to serve your community, this is your sign. Paid training is available. Apply today at FHATA.org or call 785-537-6345. That's www.fhata.org. Drive your career forward with Autobus.
When your phone is at the bottom of the pool or face down on the pavement, it's Central Time. All you have to do is pay your cell phone bill with your Bazing checking account, and you're covered. Ask about cell phone protection that comes with value checking at Central National Bank, or visit centralnational.com for details. Cell phone protection is subject to the terms and conditions detailed by Bazing.
Central National Bank, money for life.
Member FDIC in your hometown since 1884.
News Radio KMAN weather.
Partly cloudy with an overnight low of 69 as we head into the end of the week tomorrow. A gradual clearing of clouds in the morning and sunny skies in the afternoon with a high near 92. Wind gusting as high as 20 miles per hour out of the south. Mostly clear with a low around 70 on Friday night. The wind dying down a little bit on Saturday, just 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the south with a high near 92 and plenty of sunshine. Right now, mostly sunny skies and 87 degrees.
The game continues. Mitch Fortner and Cole Dutchendorf, Curry Sexton joining us in a short hour number 2 as we are at 5:30 for Royals baseball. We'll wrap it up with Ask Us Anything. But I want to get to some keys to the game. Right now, my gut says Arizona wins. The line still leans K-State as a 1.5-point favorite, but I mean, the Cats were a 17.5-point favorite against Army. Well, I mean, they lost by 3 points. Nothing. Even when UCF comes in 2 weeks, and I think they're a bad team, even when they come in, it's not guaranteed. Nothing. There are no easy wins, we'll put it that way, this season. Let me start with the offense for just a moment. They got to find ways to run Avery, to carry the ball more. It's a must at this point. But to me, it's not that simple to just, here, Avery, go run. Shoo. Go run this way, go run that way. It's not that simple. So the offense is going to need to get creative. Matt Wells has to get creative with the play calling, either with Avery distributing the football or running it himself. And I know the fans want to see him run it a little bit more, and I do too. But it's not that simple. I mean, I went back and I've rewatched the last couple of games. There's been a lot of spies on Avery this year. So they're accounting for him to run the football. But also, I mean, we're not seeing the offensive line get the job done. We're not seeing tight ends do a very good job of run blocking. It's been in a mess. And it's kind of boiled down to, it's typically one guy not doing his job, and it just blows up the play. So communication needs to be key. Everybody needs to be on the same page. How creative can K-State's offense get? And I'm going to ask Curry Sexton that question. Obviously, it has to happen, but how does that work? In what ways could we see K-State get creative and get Avery Johnson to run the ball just a little bit more? I could go on and on about that side of the football. Obviously, young wide receivers are going to probably also have to step up, get the ball more to, Jace Brown. He only had 20-something yards against Army. On defense, I see actually some more pretty serious keys, like things that need to get done. First of all, it's eye discipline for sure. Rewatching Army, I was pretty disappointed in the secondary. Pretty disappointed. Chris Kleiman said after the game, he thought, other than the halfback pass, he thought the eye discipline was solid. It wasn't. Unfortunately, on the rewatch, and I'm sure Kleiman noticed it as well, it wasn't very solid. There were a lot of mistakes made on the back end of K-State's defense. I saw the effort dwindle down. VJ Payne, I thought him and probably Zayshawn Rich stood out to me the most as guys that made mistakes or didn't give it enough effort, struggling to get off blocks, over-reading plays, bad angles. It wasn't just them. But with how well I thought Zayshawn Rich had been playing so far, I wasn't expecting that. And VJ Payne should be the veteran back there. These are things he should probably know better. And we're seeing too many mistakes. VJ Payne needs to be better. And I hate to use this word, but he's been a liability. The pass rush is pretty big as well, because right now, and we heard it from Michael just moments ago, he thought this was a big key for Arizona. Their offensive line needs to be good. Well, K-State's defensive line, I think, is pretty good. Their pass rush has been solid. I mean, even in the Army game, they got, Cale Hellam's on the run. Never got that sack, but and then if K-State's back end falls asleep and gives up 2 wide open receivers on that touchdown right at the end of the first half, that completely flipped momentum. Getting the backfield and getting Noah Fafita uncomfortable. I was surprised to hear that Noah Fafita led in the nation last year on throwaways. Well, let's get him to do that. I think K-State's going to get home. Ryan Davis, if he plays and has a good game, that would be a really, really nice spark. But simply, here is the number one key. Defense needs to get off the field. Don't allow these 3rd down and 4th down conversions. Go make a play. This team has no interceptions through 3 games. Unacceptable. That's got to get turned around. Offense has to execute. Sustain drives. Quit with the 3rd and 6s and 3rd and 7s, which they're averaging this year. 6.8 yards needed on 3rd down is horrible. There it is. Stay on the field if you're the offense. Quit with settling for 4th and longs. And play with a little bit more cojones and trust your players. That's going to end hour 1 of the game. Coming up next, we're going to be joined by Curry Sexton. I'm going to ask him about how the offense can get more creative with Avery Johnson. Can K-State get it done at Arizona? We'll get his feedback, plus that on the Army game as well. Curry is next, right at 5:30. Short hour 2, the game is next on KMAN.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the game.
You, my friend, are in the game on News Radio KMAN.
At the game.
Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
At Buck Roofing and Construction, they do more than just roofing and gutters. They also offer a wide range of siding options as well. Whether you are in need of siding, a whole new roof, gutters, or just a repair, Buck Roofing can do it all. Call for a free, no-obligation estimate today, 785-230-9379. Or visit rbuckroofing.com. Buck Roofing, where quality and professionalism come first.
Come on home to West Loop and Manhattan's West Side.
New Century Bank. Faith gives us life.
Rockin' K's. Rockin' by the bill.
Mr. K's Cafe and Bar celebrating 15 years of serving fresh and inspired food.
Visit some old friends, discover some new. Come home to West Loop and Manhattan's West Side.
Melissa Etheridge. Indigo Girls. Yes, we are tour. October 7th, Kansas State University, McCain Auditorium. Tickets on sale now at mccain.k-state.edu. Don't miss Melissa Etheridge and Indigo Girls.
KS State Bank offers convenient services to help make life a little easier. Visit ksstate.bank to learn more. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN, Manhattan.
CBS News special report. Authorities in Utah today released photos of a person of interest in the killing of Charlie Kirk. But Anna Schechter reports they don't appear to have an ID and need the public's help.
Still so many questions. It appears to me that they're not sure which way he went. Our sources don't have any indication that they have a direction or that they're homing in on a specific area and closing in on a suspect.
The U.S. Marshals are now assisting the FBI in tracking the suspect. CBS's Andres Gutierrez has more.
Police say they found what they believe to be the murder weapon in a wooded area, a high-powered bolt-action rifle.
After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood.
CBS News has learned Kirk's body will be flown on Air Force Two to his hometown in Arizona.
CBS News Special Report, I'm Cammie McCormick.
Now, the latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
I'm Louis Marion. The city of Raleigh looks to the county to take over its fire department, and Raleigh County WIC gets less in state funding than anticipated. These stories and more in your 5 p.m. news update. The city of Raleigh is moving towards merging its fire department with Raleigh County Fire District No. 1 as it struggles to recruit volunteers. Mayor Darcy Potroff says the city has just 8 firefighters, making it difficult to keep up with training and equipment. At one point, she says the city even had no working fire trucks, an issue that has since been corrected.
I don't want this to be anyone's fault. It's just happened over the last few years. It has come to us kind of piecemeal, and so we took it up, and we, with a few suggestions, we reached out to the county to see what are the options here.
Fire Chief Russell Stuckey says a merger would eliminate delays in response times.
What this would do would actually improve response times because there would be no delay to dispatch the fire station.
Potroff says dissolving a 103-year-old department isn't easy, but
we hope we're making, the right decision, but we feel that we've done our due diligence.
At its Tuesday City Council meeting, the city reached consensus to move forward on an agreement with the county. Potroff says there's no timeline for when that agreement could be finalized. The Raleigh County Women, Infants, and Children program will receive just over $1.07 million in funding for fiscal year 2026. That's about $276,000 less than the program originally requested. At Thursday's meeting, the Raleigh County Board of Health approved the contract with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Kaylin Speth, WIC supervisor, said the state office this year is notifying local agencies differently than it had in the past.
So they are starting with an initial estimated allocation, and these are estimates based off of their estimated base grant at the state level. If Kansas receives additional allocations throughout the year, then local agencies will be notified for the opportunity to request additional allocation.
Raleigh County WIC had requested $1.25 million for nutrition services and nearly $99,000 for breastfeeding peer counseling. Because of the funding shortfall, the program will eliminate a vacant breastfeeding peer counselor position. Potomac County says Dyer Road will be reduced to 1 lane between Rocky Ford and Casement starting Monday through September 28th. Temporary traffic signals will direct vehicles, and drivers should expect delays. The closure supports a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers dredging project at Turtle Creek Lake to flush sediment downstream, while the U.S. Geological Survey collects water samples from the Dyer Road Bridge. Retired U.S. Ambassador to Estonia George Kent is fulfilling his dream of cycling across America along the Trans-America Bike Trail while supporting Ukrainian war efforts and exploring his ancestry. He is using his bike ride to raise money for the Ukrainian war effort through a global activist group called NAFO, the North Atlantic Fellows Organization. Donations from his ride for Ukraine are funding pickup trucks and equipment for Ukrainian frontline units.
Well, what they do is they actually talk to the Ukrainian units, ask them what they need, and they're looking for used trucks that then they retrofit. And so mainly that's used for logistics, and that could be bringing in supplies, pulling people wounded out of frontline units.
While biking across America with his wife and son, Ken explored his Kansas roots. This was his first time in the Sunflower State.
3 of my triple great-grandfathers homesteaded between 1870 and 1873, 2 of them in Republic County near Belleville, and the third out about 25 miles from Hayes. And then my great-great-grandmother and great-great-grandfather also had a separate homestead. So I visited 3 of those 4 homesteads.
To read more in the story, head over to themercury.com in the features section. And finally, tonight, an 83-year-old Manhattan man arrested Tuesday who was charged with multiple counts now faces just one charge of interference with law enforcement in Raleigh County District Court. Alan Steve Frazier made his first court appearance Wednesday. In a document filed with the court by Deputy Raleigh County Attorney David Loudon, Frazier is no longer facing the 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count of endangering a child that he was also charged with upon his arrest. Frazier was arrested via Christie Hospital and is held in Riley County Jail on a reduced bond of $3,000. For more on tonight's headlines, go to newsradiokman.com or themercury.com. I'm Louis Marion. Hour 2 of the game is next.
News is powered by Central National Bank with locations at the Walmart Supercenter and at College and Claflin. Central National Bank, member FDIC.
News Radio KMAN weather.
Tonight partly cloudy with a low around 69 as we heat up to end the week. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow and a high near 92 with wind gusting as high as 20 miles per hour out of the south. Mostly clear and a low around 70 on Friday night. That wind from Friday dying down a little bit on Saturday, just 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the south with a high near 92. Chance of rain on Sunday. Right now, 87 degrees in Manhattan.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by Sunset Zoo. Memberships are a fun way to experience the zoo. Pick up your membership and enjoy the Sunset Zoo all year long.
It's a great song. Hip Hop Hooray. Oh, hey. It's a good jam. Short hour 2 of the game. It's our final show of the week because we have PowerCat Game Day tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Myself along with Zach Nemechek, Dr. Nemechek, DMD. Mason Voth, the former host of this show. He's with K-State Online, and Tim Everson, the sports editor of the Manhattan Mercury, will be with you starting at 4 o'clock sharp. And then network coverage takes over at 6. And then the game at Arizona kicks off at 8 p.m. right here on News Radio KMAN 101.5 K-Rock. You can also listen online at PowerCatGameDay.com. Manhattan High football also plays Friday night. That's a huge game. Manhattan, now the number 1 team in 6A, will be at number 3, Lawrence Free State. But because of K-State playing at the same time, that's going to be an online-only broadcast. And that'll be starting at 6:30. Pre-game coverage, and the game kicks off at 7 o'clock on News Radio KMAN. I need to check the line to see where we're at, because this line has been going back and forth. Arizona opened up as the favorite, then it went to K-State. Let's see if we are somehow staying put. Yes, K-State's still a 1.5-point favorite. The over-under is 54.5, which I'm not going to give my prediction until the end of PowerCat Game Day tomorrow. But it is kind of in the area of where I see if I add the points up. I think I have the under. Right now, my points would total the under. We're still looking to get Curry Sexton here on the show. Very busy guy, completely understand, so we'll try to get him on here in just a moment. But as we mentioned earlier in hour number 1, I mean, there's no, without a shadow of a doubt, what this game means to K-State and what this means also to Arizona. I mean, they're looking to get things in the right direction based on last year. If K-State loses this game, it's not good. If you think the fan base has been freaking out already, it's DEFCON 1 probably at that point, especially if K-State doesn't put up a really solid fight and it's not like a close game, and K-State has a bad game. They cannot afford a bad game. But as we just did moments ago, go over the keys, this is a must-win game. No question about that. It's a must-win game for K-State to get it done in non-conference play. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, like, what does this game actually mean like towards the season? Well, I mean, we know the college football playoff is completely out of discussion.
The at-large bid.
Or win the Big 12. Yes, the at-large is completely out of discussion.
Because Big 12 is still a possibility. It just looks very, very bleak at this moment.
Well, yes, K-State win the Big 12 and get the 12 seed or 11 seed or something like that. I mean, that is the absolute ceiling. Which, I mean, kind of expectations to be the ceiling, but it's a pretty big reach at this point. But we're now so early in the year, it's been so bad, the floor of this season has completely been reinvented. the layout, the blueprint on how you could potentially get to that floor, it's worse than what we all expected. I mean, the floor is now, the floor for me, because I said it earlier, I had no game at all right now, the way things stand, no game is guaranteed. Not a one. And I still think K-State has a bit of a tough road schedule. The home schedule is obviously incredibly interesting with TCU and Texas Tech coming in. I don't think UCF is any good, but I don't know. You never know. You almost got beat by North Dakota. Had to pull one out of your backside to pull that game off. I think the floor right now is 3-9. You would hope K-State could find a way to win a couple of more games at home, but I think that's honestly worst case. Well, worst case scenarios are, you don't win a game the rest of the year. KU beats your butt, and Lawrence's streak ends. I mean, my mind is already there. I mean, don't get me started on a game that's coming up in October and how I feel about that right now. It's not good. Maybe that's better. Maybe that's the best way for the streak to end. You knew it's coming. Just got to sit there and take it. It's not like a close heartbreaker or anything. It's just, it's going to happen.
Last year would have been devastating.
Yes, the way that game unfolded, absolutely devastating. I mean, that was a nerve-wracking, heart going 100 miles an hour for 3/4 of football, especially with the way KU started. They should have been up 14-0. Mm-hmm. The drop touchdown in the end zone, and then they don't score. Cats score, get the safety, score again, build a lead. And that lead evaporated, and that was honestly, last year, right at that point, was the start of the downfall.
Because Houston was the next week, right?
The downfall did not start August 23rd. It started in November of last season. K-State lost 3 of the 4 games in November last year, so you tally it all up, they've lost 5 of the last 8 dating back to last November. It's a lot of the same problems. Mm-hmm. The secondary stinks. The run game, not very good. Avery having to be more of a passer. Not running the ball as much as you would like, It's the same stuff. I mean, should November of last year been a big warning? I kind of just based it off of, for whatever reason, it's just been kind of rough for climbing in the month of November. I go back to
losing record in November at K-State.
I go back to 2019. I remember I think it was West Virginia that came in, and K-State, I guess you could have considered it a trap game. I don't know who they played next or whatever, what happened before that. I think it was a little after the Oklahoma win. But West Virginia comes in. They're not a great team. K-State's doing pretty well. And then West Virginia comes in, and this wide receiver that hadn't had a good year scores 2 touchdowns. Felt kind of fluky, but West Virginia came in and beat K-State. So going back, to the beginning of November, when you flip the calendar and it's a rainy day in Houston, and there's a bad turnover, you're throwing on first or second down in the rain, and then here comes Houston. They win that game. That's where the issues go back to. It's just the personnel. Some of the personnel is different. But things have gotten worse. I think there's no doubt things have gotten worse. I don't think there's one player that just comes in and, we're still missing some very key guys. The first starter of the newcomers is still out, George Fitzpatrick. Dylan Edwards hasn't played since the muff punt against Iowa State. You're missing some pretty key guys offensively. But now you add J.B. Bradley, who's going to be on the shelf because of the injury to his left hand after the dropped touchdown, and he lands on his hand. I'm surprised that kind of stuff doesn't happen more when they land on their hands when they're trying to tuck the football and hold on to it. I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often. Well, and then defensively, we know K-State on the D-line is a little bit thin. You worked in some new corners. I felt like last year it was just more of a individual struggle. Now it just kind of feels a little bit more unit-wide. They feel lost at times. And they're playing much softer, and I hate that. I think we all noticed in the Army game, Army was 6 of 7 on fourth down. They should have been 7 on 7. The one that they didn't get, I don't remember the yardage they needed, but there were a couple of medium routes, and K-State was giving a ton of cushion. No aggressiveness whatsoever. They gave up that first down. They handed it to Army, and there was an inaccurate pass. K-State was very fortunate to get off the field because that would have put Army, I think, inside the 30, inside K-State's 30, and they're probably scoring earlier than they did, which was right before the half. Yeah, we're having some trouble getting Curry. Let me check and see. He must have ran into a little bit of business. That does happen once in a while around this time. That's okay. No problem.
Important man in the grand scheme of Wildcat and IL. Could get those deals rolling.
Could be something going down right now.
PJ Haggerty part 2
might be a new drink. Yeah. Well, no, that's not his business anymore.
Right.
It's now finding NIL deals for the student athletes that would all be reviewed by that the committee that's doing anything of $600 and over. So yeah, who knows? Maybe there's a new drink coming from Avery Johnson, the line of drinks.
Or get Lincoln involved somehow. Speaking of which, you think he's going to play this weekend?
I think he's calling in. Great question. He has warmed up 2 weeks in a row. He hasn't hit the field yet. Look, my thought is, as soon as you can play Lincoln, you get him on the field. There's a lot missing right now from the tight end position as well. Tight ends, they're not talked about as much. They're probably not being talked about as much because they don't have 7 touchdowns in the first 3 games like they did last year. I don't know if that was a real number or not. Yes, I'm with you. Would love to see Lincoln Kier out there ASAP if he's healthy and ready to go. We with Curry now? Curry, appreciate your time squeezing us in. I know you're busy. Hey, what was the biggest disappointment from the loss against Army?
I think, again, it's just not – it's failure to make the right plays. I mean, we saw some good things, but unfortunately, we're just not making enough of the right winning plays to have success. I mean, giving up a 2-minute offense touchdown to Army is a failure. Giving up 6 of 7 on fourth down to Army is a failure. Not getting off the field. Those are big frustrating moments for me, and I think seeing guys who you expect to be good, strong players for us, not making the right plays, being missing assignments consistently and giving up big plays is just hugely frustrating. So it's hard to name just one because there were so many things that we did wrong on Saturday night.
Eye discipline has been brought up the last couple and I know you're not a big defensive guy, but I rewatched the game last night and there was something major that was lacking to me. What'd you feel about the secondary and the eye discipline for K-State's defense? Pretty much, manning up, assignment sound, at least supposed to be against Army. What'd you think about their performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I mentioned some of the concerns I have with certain players, I think a lot of that falls on the secondary. I mean, there are times where, hey, our guys up front, our defensive front got handled at times, which you don't like to see, and there are times where our linebackers are missing assignments. But the secondary, to me, was the biggest issue on Saturday night. And if you look at a lot of the pivotal plays in that football game, the go-ahead touchdown, or the I'm thinking of, I think it was in the third quarter, the play where 4th and 4 and the quarterback scrambles down to the 1-yard line, the touchdown pass in the first half, and the 2-minute offense. If you look at all of those plays, the biggest issues on those plays from our defensive perspective fall in the secondary and fall on a couple of guys in particular. I hate to single out guys, but Zayshawn Rich had multiple opportunities to make plays in the run game that could have prevented touchdowns and even turned the ball back over to our offense, and just lacked a commitment and a toughness to go make a play, to make a play on the football. Those were issues on the go-ahead touchdown run. BJ Payne just put himself completely out of the play when he's the guy who's right there, able to make the play and again, prevent Army from scoring a touchdown, what proved to be the game-winning touchdown. And so, yes, the second and the touchdown at the end of the first half. It's goal-to-go situation, 4th down. you're obviously playing some sort of man coverage because that's what you play in a man or in a goal to go situation, especially on a fourth and short. And VJ's got his eyes in the backfield, and the guy that he's supposed to be manned up against just runs free across the end zone for an easy touchdown. There's so many instances of that where you want to bang your head against a wall, and I think with VJ in particular, the frustration is this is a guy who's been around for a really long time. He's made some football plays for Kansas State, and you expected him to be the leader of that secondary in his fourth and final season. And so far, his performance in the first 3 games, and especially against Army, has just not been good.
I'll ask you about the offense here in a moment, Curry. I'll probably ask Zach this question because you know what? I mean, in our lifetime, a 1-2 start has only happened one time ever back in 2009, and then, of course, Coach Snyder brings you and Zach to, of course, help turn things around. How do you feel like – what do you think this team – I'll phrase it this way. How do you feel like they're doing mentally right now?
Not good. I mean, it's obviously it's been a tough start to the season, and massive game in Ireland, big expectations coming into the season, and to lose that game. I mean, and really it starts before the season. I mean, you lose your starting left tackle and potentially your best offensive lineman before camp starts to kind of an unfortunate accident. You lose your best offensive weapon on the first offensive play of the season. To a muff punt and a resulting injury, and then you lose that football game in a tight game. You lose that game against your conference rival. Come home and barely beat a North Dakota team, and then blow a 13-point lead against Army to go to 1-2. I mean, I can't imagine that they're doing well mentally and emotionally, but we're going to see what the team and what the leaders are made up of tomorrow night. I told somebody earlier this week I'm concerned about what tomorrow night looks like simply because I don't know that this team has mental toughness and has strong leadership to say, you know what, guys, we're going to go tomorrow night. We're tough. We're beat up. We're down. We're going to go to Tucson tomorrow night, and we're going to play as hard as we can for 60 minutes because then we've got a week off. And then we go into a bye week and we're going to restart this play. But I just don't know that this team has that type of leadership and that type of mentality, and so because of that, I'm extremely concerned about where they're at mentally and where their toughness is going to be coming into tomorrow night.
One more thought, Curry, about tomorrow. Offensively, obviously they have to do something with the run game. Obviously, they have to try to get Avery going on the ground to try to open up some things and be successful in the running game. They're going to have to get creative, obviously. Do you have an opinion or a thought on what that might look like what the offense should do with Avery to try to open that up?
Absolutely. I think I think Avery has 78 rushing yards or something through 3 games, and a third or more of that came on the one carry late against North Dakota. Avery in the ground game and not committing to it, we're not using potentially our best and most important weapon, and by making Avery one-dimensional, you're taking away his strongest skill from his skill set, and I think Cole Manbeck rattled off a stat the other day that is alarming to me, and I think underscores some of the serious issues that our offense is facing and our offensive line is facing. But when we run outside the tackles, we're averaging something like 5.7 yards per carry. And when we run inside the tackles, it's somewhere between 2 and 3 yards per carry. And that's an issue. And we've seen that this offensive line, and obviously they're still trying to find the right 5 guys, but this offensive line is struggling in run blocking. And on almost every single play, you're seeing guys, just give up blocks. And that's a problem. You're not converting against opponents on 3rd and 4th and short. I mean, to start that football game against Army, you're 3rd and 1 on the 15-yard line, and you can't get 1 yard against Army. And your confidence in your offensive line and your running game is so low that you kick a field goal, which obviously came back to haunt us. And so, serious concerns about our ability to run the football. But I think in college football in particular, the biggest X factor in a running game is a quarterback run game. And I think we have to commit to that more. We have to commit to running outside the tackles more, and I think we have to get creative. One of our biggest run plays on the season to date was Jace Brown, motioning into the backfield and taking a pitch, fake reverse, and running around the end for 40 yards. And unfortunately, because we can't run between the tackles, we've got to resort to stuff like that. But I think more importantly, we've got to. Avery has shown that he's improved immensely as a passer, outside of a couple questionable throws against North Dakota. And we've got some of our best weapons are pass catchers. And so I think we've got to help our run game by being more diverse with our play calling. Play action on first down, rolling Avery out of the pocket, giving him run pass options. I think throwing the ball more regularly, including on first and second down, and moving the ball down the football field more. I think those things are going to help our run game, because right now, by not running Avery and by not running the football effectively, teams know we've effectively become one-dimensional. And so I want to see us I think we can help our run game by being more versatile with our play calling and with our use of Avery Johnson. And I guess another thing, and I'm kind of rambling here, but another thing is part of the issue with the offensive front is just the way that we rotate them in and out. And I understand that we're trying to find the best 5 guys, and there's been some injuries, but there's just too much rotation for those guys to ever get comfortable. Andrew Linegang playing right tackle one series and right guard the next. I mean, completely different positions. How does a guy like that ever get settled in? And so I want to see us try to establish more consistency in that unit so that those guys can ultimately begin to play more together. And so to me, that's something I want to look for tomorrow night.
Curry, thank you for squeezing us in. I appreciate it. We got to wrap up this show. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Curry Sexton, busy guy. Really appreciate him. I knew he'd give us a pretty solid answer to the Avery Johnson question. But with that, we got to wrap it up. We got Royals baseball coming up next, and we got PowerCat Game Day tomorrow at 4 o'clock. That'll take place at the game. All the boys will be there as well. But we're going to wrap it up. Manhattan High football tomorrow, online only at Lawrence Free State. For Cole, I'm Mitch, and for Bottle Cap Sports Bar, go Cats.